Will censorship take over the internet? Will John Mike Keane survive as a channel? How long will we last when censorship is solely embraced by the left and free speech is solely endorsed by Republicans, the right, and Donald Trump?
I want to ask you about the protections that we need for social media companies. How can we stop the government from being able to bully social media companies into censoring content that it dislikes?
The problem isn't that the government bullies companies into censorship. It's the companies willingly participate. They go, look, we couldn't do it with an election. We can't do it with Kamala's power because she lost an election. So now just all the businesses, Amazon, just name the company, think of them right now. They go, you know what? We can censor and destroy 50% of America, the Trump supporter, with the free market.
If we don't have free speech, then we just don't have a free country. It's as simple as that. If this most fundamental right is allowed to perish, then the rest of our rights and liberties will topple. Just like dominoes, one by one, they'll go down. That's why today I'm announcing my plan to shatter the left-wing censorship regime and to reclaim the right to free speech for all Americans. And reclaim is a very important word in this case because they've taken it away. In recent weeks, bombshell reports have confirmed that a sinister group of deep state bureaucrats, Silicon Valley tyrants, left-wing activists, and depraved corporate news media have been conspiring to manipulate and silence the American people. They have collaborated to suppress vital information on everything from elections to public health. The censorship cartel must be dismantled and destroyed, and it must happen immediately.
We'll just go after them.
The way that the left speaks to its voters, it really is.
A message of joy and inclusiveness?
No, the message of not being educated, being dumb, and what's wrong with America. Who said that?
Sonny just did. What is wrong with America?
Sonny just now agrees with her on that message. She goes, yeah, what's wrong with that message? They are dumb and uneducated. They're attacking anyone who disagrees with them. They're refusing to learn the right lesson.
My point here is that
that's not what Kamala Harris said.
No.
And there's Anna Navarro saying, no, that's not what Kamala Harris said. Actually, that is what Kamala Harris said. She said that someone needed to go after Elon Musk to make him stop his disinformation platform. That is, they were going to destroy him. If she had won the election, they would have gone after him for misinformation. Now, the private companies will still try, but at least the government can't do it.
With control over the executive branch, it would be surprisingly easy not to take the whole thing out, but to devastate it in effectively a single blow. All you would need is an incoming day one executive order that prohibits government grants and contracts to going to any private company or nonprofit entity that engages in domestic disinformation.
Not just domestic disinformation. They cut that off early. My brother didn't mean that alone. That Trump needs to do an executive order that cancels government contracts with companies that practice disinformation, but also flag things for disinformation.
And here's my plan. First, within hours of my inauguration, I will sign an executive order banning any federal department or agency from colluding with any organization, business, or person to censor, limit, categorize, or impede the lawful speech of American citizens. I will then ban federal money from being used to label domestic speech as mis- or disinformation. And I will begin the process of identifying and firing every federal bureaucrat who has engaged in domestic censorship, directly or indirectly, whether they are the Department of Homeland Security, the Department of Health, Human Services, the FBI, the DOJ, no matter who they are.
That is, if they flag things and perform censorship, then the government must say it's unconstitutional and we cannot do government contracts with them. That would prevent all those giant, juicy government contracts from going to server companies like Oracle or software companies that they would use on all government agencies like Microsoft. Bill Gates is Microsoft. Anything that uses political correctness and uses censorship, even Amazon deliveries, they could say, we cannot enter into a contract with a company that practices censorship.
It does what the Supreme Court should have done and said that the funding of censorship by the government is censorship by the government. That EO will allow you to go agency by agency and kill all of those grants and contracts that comprise the censorship industry.
Did you hear that? That's how you attack, like I said, because Kamala Harris didn't win and they can't do censorship formally through the government now, all of these woke companies will say, we'll still practice censorship within our business because we're free to, which is true. And then the government comes in and says, we're canceling all contracts with businesses that practice censorship because the Supreme Court said that when government funds censorship companies, it's the same thing as the government performing censorship. I hope you guys didn't miss that. I think we can expand on that on the right, and that will keep these platforms from performing censorship.
Second, I will order the Department of Justice to investigate all parties involved in the new online censorship regime, which is absolutely destructive and terrible, and to aggressively prosecute any and all crimes identified. These include possible violations of federal civil rights law, campaign finance laws, federal election law, securities law, and antitrust laws, the Hatch Act, and a host of other potential criminal, civil, regulatory, and constitutional offenses. To assist in these efforts, I am urging House Republicans to immediately send preservation letters, and we have to do this right now, to the Biden administration, the Biden campaign, and every Silicon Valley tech giant, ordering them not to destroy evidence of censorship.
There are hundreds of thousands of people now around the world and tens of thousands of people here in the U.S. whose full-time, their paychecks, their livelihoods, their mortgages are effectively paid for by doing full-time 24/7 censorship work. This field did not exist 8 years ago. It was created after the 2016 election as a response to Trump winning to stop a night like tonight where he might win again.
These are all the comments, the people flagging comments, looking for hate speech, canceling disinformation, the disinformation people about you name it, and they're hunting for it, and it's their full-time job now.
Third, upon my inauguration as president, I will ask Congress to send a bill to my desk revising Section 230 to get big online platforms out of censorship business. From now on, digital platforms should only qualify for immunity protection under Section 230 if they meet high standards of neutrality, transparency, fairness, and non-discrimination. We should require these platforms to increase their efforts to take down unlawful content such as child exploitation and promoting terrorism, while dramatically curtailing their power to arbitrarily restrict lawful speech. Fourth, we need to break up the entire toxic censorship industry that has arisen under the false guise of tackling so-called mis- and disinformation. We should also enact new laws laying out clear criminal penalties for federal bureaucrats who partner with private entities to do an end run around the Constitution and deprive Americans of their First, Fourth, and Fifth Amendment rights. In other words, deprive them of their vote. And once you lose those elections, and once you lose your borders like we have, you no longer have a country.
I would also go so far as to say preferred flaggers on certain platforms.
I think in a normal country, we would say, hold on a second, maybe we need to have a different set of regulations for social media platforms now they're this big.
It would help if we could regulate social media, because one of the biggest offenders is D.C. and Congress have not been able to do one thing in regard to the rogue corporations of social media.
And now they're doing it from a leftist standpoint. They're all saying we should go after disinformation on social media. You know what they mean? They mean we should go after anything Republican or anything pro-Trump. What I think we should go after is any social media platform that goes after people for misinformation or censorship. We have to go after them and cancel contracts.
We don't have the equivalent of Joe Rogan and Jordan Peterson to move that man in a feminist direction.
You don't have the free market behind you because you don't operate freely. The reason why Joe Rogan and Jordan Peterson thrive is because the market was able to make them famous. You jam people down people's throats, like Beyonce at a Kamala event. No one cares about your people. They're all BS. You use strong arming. You have to submit people to the free market. People like John Mike Keane, my channel. It gets popular because people like it, not because it's jammed down people's throats, like all your leftist stuff. I think Elon Musk said it best.
Go yourself. Is that clear? I hope it is.
That was his message to Apple CEO, Tim Cook, who suggested that they censor him. He said, go blank yourself. That's where the free speech is at, guys.
Fifth, the time has finally come for Congress to pass a digital Bill of Rights. This should include a right to digital due process. In other words, government officials should need a court order to take down online content, not send information requests such as the FBI was sending to Twitter. Furthermore, when users of big online platforms have their content or accounts removed, throttled, shadow banned, or otherwise restricted, no matter what name they use, they should have the right to be informed that it's happening, the right to a specific explanation of the reason why, and the right to a timely appeal. In addition, all users over the age of 18 should have the right to opt out of content moderation and curation entirely and receive an unmanipulated stream of information if they so choose. The fight for free speech is a matter of victory or death for America and for the survival of Western civilization itself. When I am president, this whole rotten system of censorship and information control will be ripped out of the system at large. There won't be anything left. By restoring free speech, we'll begin to reclaim our democracy and save our nation. Thank you, and God bless America.
Fighting for it still, even as Trump wins. I'm John Mike Keane.
The President of the United States.
The U.S. President is Donald Trump.
Yeah!